the banker, the drummer, and then it makes no difference what group I'm in. 'Cause I am everyday people.
Good evening, Patriots. God bless ya. Did you enjoy the interview? I know the setup was a little odd tonight because some timing things switched with her schedule. So we actually recorded that a couple hours ago, and I did it that way because I wanted you guys to be able to share it without having all the other stuff interfering. But she's going to come back on and answer your questions and stuff too. I thought it was a great interview. She's very knowledgeable. We had a lot of fun. I hope to do a lot more interviews in the future. So anyway, how are you guys doing tonight? It's been a weird day, huh? Yeah. Probably didn't it, Posty? I think it'll be okay in the end, but everybody had to jump all over the place. I have a complicated show here. I really need to split it up somehow or something, but Gideon's Army. That's right, Susan. How are you? Let's jump into some news. There's not a whole host of things going on, but we're going to look at some different posts and things regarding the obvious arrest this morning for John Bolton's house. Started with his home, then it went to his office. Let's take a look at what we got news-wise.
Our camera is now in Maryland with the FBI searched former National Security Advisor John Bolton's house. This is from Bethesda earlier today. Sources familiar with the search told CBS News it is related in part to a classified documents investigation. Meanwhile, FBI agents were also seen exiting a downtown Washington, D.C. building where Bolton's Political Action Committee is located. CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa joins me now for much more. Robert, thank you for your time today. The Trump administration often spoke about the weaponization of the Justice Department and law enforcement agencies during the campaign. The president himself spoke negatively of Bolton just hours ago. So do these previous comments cast a doubt over whether this raid has any legal standing?
It's good to be with you. The context of this FBI raid is important. It's personal in some respects. President Trump, during his first term, was frustrated with John Bolton, the former UN ambassador and national security advisor, for his memoir about his time as Trump's national security advisor, and made a claim. We haven't seen evidence of this, but he made a claim that Bolton used classified material at some level in this best-selling book a few years ago. And now that he's back in the White House, there is clearly scrutiny, sources tell me, on Bolton's files and whether he might have classified material in any way from that book project. This also comes at...
I think we probably know better than the classified files stuff, but it is funny because he gave Trump a lot of hell when he, was getting in trouble for the same thing. So there's a lot of back and forth this morning about whether he was actually home or not when all this took place, but I don't think so. Kash Patel posted no one's above the law 3 minutes after the raid happened. Yeah, that's for sure. A few days ago, President Trump mentioned Putin and Bolton in the same post. In the Q drop, it says Bolton plus Putin should scare you. Enemies are allies. This is said right after Q says attempts to frame Russia and the president together will be exposed, and right now it is happening. The Russia collusion hoax is being exposed. Kind of interesting, huh? There's obviously some more to that. I think people might be looking at Bolton the wrong way, but that's me. John Bolton had posted this early this morning, I assume before the raid or when it was happening, and he didn't know it was happening. Russia has not changed its goal, drag Ukraine into a new Russian empire. Moscow has demanded that Ukraine cede territory it already holds in the remainder of the Donetsk, which it has been unable to conquer. Zelensky will never do so. Meanwhile, meetings will continue because Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, but I don't see these talks making any progress. Kind of doing the Debbie Downer thing there, right? Yeah, sorry about all that. Having to jump back and forth, guys. Trump's FBI raids John Bolton's home while he was inside as part of national security investigation. Reached by CNN, Bolton said he was unaware of the FBI activity and was looking into it further. So I'm assuming he wasn't home as it was happening, but this other story Dean talked about today with Hulk Hogan, his daughter is raising concerns about her father's untimely death. Let me see if I can read this here. She says that medical and police professionals have told her that she needs to get a hold of 911 tapes and body cam footage from the date of his passing because they supposedly contain information that could potentially shed enough light to change the narrative. Full IG statement. I've 100% gotten legit calls from professionals, from police officials to nurses that were supposedly with my dad on the day of his death, telling me I need to see body cam footage and I need to get... That's weird. There's a video to go with some of it, but MJ Truth posted this. There was a lockdown report surrounding Hulk Hogan's death, stating that he may have been the victim of medical malpractice. Two questions come to mind. Who was his medical therapist? Who performed the surgery suspected of malpractice? Was there more to Mr. Hogan's death?
Fox News Alert, new updates on the death of wrestling legend Hulk Hogan. TMZ is reporting Hogan may have been a victim of medical malpractice. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has more. Kevin.
Pretty crazy story, my friend. The Clearwater, Florida Police Department says tonight the investigation into Hulk Hogan's death is ongoing even now. And that's because Hogan may have been the victim of medical malpractice, which may have cost him his life, according to sources connected to the case. Law enforcement sources tonight tell TMZ that an occupational therapist was present at the wrestling legend's home in Florida when he stopped breathing. And according to a report, the therapist suggested in a recent operation, a surgeon may have severed Hogan's phrenic nerve, which controls the diaphragm, which is the primary muscle responsible for breathing. As of this hour, Hogan's body has not yet been cremated. And while his widow, Sky, says an autopsy has been conducted, we don't know what the findings were. In a statement, Clearwater Police tonight say the unique nature of this case has required us to interview multiple witnesses and seek medical records from a variety of providers. And our detectives continue to do that. All of this takes time.
I guess that begs the question, did the surgeon do it on accident and they tried to cover it up and it led to his death? Or did they do it on purpose knowing that it would lead to his death? I guess that's the question the investigation's going to have to deeply look into. Crazy stuff, guys. Serious world, isn't it? Supreme Court let President Trump cut $783 million in research funds over DEI. It's a pretty big win right there.
And the Supreme Court's allowing the Trump administration to slash hundreds of millions of dollars in research funding in its push to cut federal diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The court lifted a judge's order blocking $783 million worth of cuts made by the National Institutes of Health. But the court did keep Trump administration guidance on future funding blocked. Senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer has more. So, Devin, the plaintiffs have argued that these cuts will inflict incalculable losses in public health and human life. The Justice Department says funding decisions shouldn't be subjected to judicial second-guessing, and that DEI efforts can, in their words, conceal insidious racial discrimination. So how did the justices reach their decision here?
This really fragmented the Supreme Court, Diane, and it came in a challenge to those executive orders that President Trump signed very early on, rooting out DEI initiatives, funding for COVID research, and also gender identity at the National Institutes of Health. What happened at the Institute is they issued a guidance memo outlining which research projects the government would no longer fund. They came up with a list, $780 million of projects. Those were canceled. And the recipients of those grants went to court. And the Supreme Court yesterday said that they would refuse to block those, the lower court order for now, meaning the government can't be forced to pay out money it will never get back while this litigation proceeds. But in something of an interesting twist, the Supreme Court did say that the government's guidance, what it put out saying which projects are good and which projects are bad, maybe wasn't so clear, might have actually been illegal and in the terms of the law, arbitrary and capricious. So what that means is going forward, these government grants can't be blocked. But for now, the ones that the Trump administration identified can be put on hold, Diane.
The ruling allows the administration to move forward with canceling hundreds of grants while the lawsuit continues. So what's the potential impact here, and what are you watching for next?
Well, a number of public health researchers that I've talked to say that this is a significant blow. Anybody who works in science and research knows that simply halting a project midstream is not good for science. It can corrupt the data, and therefore all of it is flushed down.
Yeah. What kind of science are we talking about? How many twists on the hula hoop a squirrel can do? We're not so worried about that kind of science, I'm saying. President Trump seems to confirm that when he's done with D.C., which seems to be soon, that he's headed for Chicago next. Let's see what he says here.
Which we're willing to do, we have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one. But they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, and we're going to help with... And I think a lot of these people that you see on television, they are, including the people in this audience, they'll say bad things about me, and then they'll say, thank God he's here, because half of them got mugged, and they don't want to get mugged again. But they're, they work for they work for stupid people that are radical left, and they're made to do things and say things that they don't want to be saying.
Chicago, I can get behind that. Sounds like New York might be next. Somebody posted this. Let me see if I can read this. Bolton's security clearances were revoked January 20th of this year. Today they raided his home. It's a logical assumption to say everyone who had their security clearances revoked is at risk of a raid. And that includes Adam Kinzinger, Alexander Vindman, Alvin Bragg, Andrew Wiseman. Trying to find names I recognize. Hillary Clinton, Fiona Hill, Jake Sullivan, Joe Biden. Letitia James, Kamala Harris, Lisa Monaco. I recognize some of these names. Not all of them, but that would be exciting, wouldn't it? Trump did that thing, or wherever he was talking today, that thing on the wall behind him had Hillary and Bush written on it. It was interesting. Ken Paxton announces he and America First Legal join in President Trump's effort to defeat Gavin Newsom and California's attempts to force radical green energy car standards on America. The Green New Scam is dead. Jeff Bezos, Washington Post bureau chief, is busted on recording, admitting their paper absolutely will not run any positive Trump stories. It's not so surprising to me, but let's check it out.
If all we had was a bunch of people saying that Trump was a gentleman and he was very nice and, everybody with respect, I don't think we would do that story. We just wouldn't do a story. It's definitely not a fluff piece. And mostly it's been anonymous, where we're not sort of at the point of putting people's names on things.
So I got a message the other day from an American Dream Calendar Girl pageant winner from the 1990s. Now, she had gotten a message from a Washington Post reporter named Matt Visor, who was contacting her, trying to get dirt, trying to get information on the relationship between Epstein and Trump. Now, Washington Post Visor alleges in his email to this pageant winner that he wanted to hear from her experiences with President Trump during her time as a pageant girl. Now, she reached out to me wondering what she could do to expose this Washington Post reporter, so she called this Washington Post reporter and recorded the phone call.
Thanks for getting back to me. Yeah, I know it's kind of random and out of the blue, but we've been trying to revisit a period when Trump was involved with the competition. We'd heard a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein being around at some competitions or parties and stuff like that, and have just been trying to talk to as many people as we could, particularly since it was a long time ago.
And in this phone call, Washington Post reporter Matt Visor says that they won't publish anything if they hear from former pageant girls that Trump treated them well during the pageant, saying flat out, if all we had was people saying Trump was a gentleman, we wouldn't do the story. It's definitely not a fluff piece.
If all we had was a bunch of people saying that Trump was a gentleman and he was very nice and, everybody with respect, I don't think we would do that story. We just wouldn't do a story. So, I think we're approaching it in the sense that if we can find out something new that was happening, that Trump was doing back then, that we can kind of expose to people. I think that's...
So, for you guys, that's probably not much of a story or news, but for the kind of people that call you crazy when you say stuff like that, that's big for them. It's proof that it doesn't matter what good Trump does, they're not going to report it. They never were going to report it. They've always been after the guy. And so if they're not reporting something negative about him, they're not reporting about him at all. Moving forward here. Department of Justice Todd Blanche released the transcripts and audio from his visit with Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm going to show you a couple things that MJ Truth put up about it. He asked Maxwell if she or Epstein ever had any contact with or had been paid by Mossad, Israeli intelligence. She said, not deliberately, and I wouldn't know. Lies. That's a lie. Lie. My opinion. She was asked if President Trump ever received a massage or had done anything appropriate with masseuses or with anyone in her world. Her response was never, absolutely not. In relation to video surveillance and blackmailing powerful people, Maxwell states she decorated the homes herself, and she never saw any surveillance whatsoever, and she denied the notion Epstein blackmailed anyone. These statements directly contradict victim testimony and previously declassified documents. She actually I mean, maybe she just lied. 'Cause she knew she wasn't going to get immunity. The former dean and academic administrator at Harvard received a massage, according to Ghislaine Maxwell's newly released transcript. Weeks ago, President Trump said you should look at the former president of Harvard and his associates, also dropping the name Larry Summers, both directly mentioned in Q posts connected to Epstein. There was another college shooting scare again today. I'm wondering if this is going to become some kind of norm where we start having these dang hoaxes.
It was a terrifying moment for students, staff, and everyone on this campus after receiving an alert of an active shooter here at Villanova University. But now that it was confirmed as a hoax, some feel relieved and others still feel chills through their bodies.
You know, you hear the rumbling of people, right? And then you look over and then you see people screaming and then someone says active shooter and it's just go, go, go.
A time to welcome new students and their families turned into pure pandemonium after hearing reports of an active shooter. It left everyone scrambling and seeking shelter during the first-year student orientation mass. The campus sent into a lockdown as students were told to barricade themselves in their rooms, according to Villanova University.
And all of a sudden, I just saw people running like a stampede. It was just insane. And then the people behind us, they say, there's an active shooter. They got a text and they said, like, let's go. And we just booked it.
The threat took over the university's opening day, which included events like a resource fair, a family picnic, and an opening mass. But as this event broke down, prayers were quickly offered by many online.
Orientation time is packed at these colleges. Somebody is doing this stuff on purpose. The United States has stopped issuing visas to all foreign truck drivers, according to Marco Rubio. California legislator votes to set November special election on new U.S. House map favoring Democrats. California
Governor Gavin Newsom signing 2 redistricting bills Thursday afternoon, bringing the redistricting showdown to California voters in a November special election.
We're not just identifying a problem, we're actually trying to solve a problem. And it's a problem of their making. So this is not an election we expected to be holding on November 4th. But they shot the first bullet.
The measures in response to Republican efforts in Texas to redraw its state congressional district maps and pick up 5 additional House seats ahead of the midterm elections. California Republicans pushing back on the projected $200 million cost for a special election. States typically redraw congressional maps every 10 years after.
It gets boring hearing all this stuff over and over again, doesn't it? It's the same thing day in and day out. The U.S. has launched national security probe into wind turbine imports, questioning where the parts are coming from, I guess, and if they're safe. Starving Gaza is a war crime, says the United Nations chief. You think? We'll look at the update there.
The famine declared today in Gaza Governorate by the IPC is the direct result of actions taken by the Israeli government. It has unlawfully restricted the entry and distribution of humanitarian assistance and other goods necessary for the survival of the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. It is a war crime to use starvation as a method of warfare. And the resulting deaths may also amount to the war crime of willful killing. The Israeli authorities must take immediate steps to end the famine in the Gaza Governorate and prevent further loss of life across the Gaza Strip.
Okay, but they're not going to do that.
Now, please read the IPC report. Read it cover to cover. Read it in sorrow and read it in anger. Not as words and numbers, but as names and lives. Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine, the Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented if we had been allowed. My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him: enough. Ceasefire. Open the crossings, north and south, all of them. Let us get food and other supplies in, unimpeded, and at the massive scale required. End the retribution. It is too late for far too many, but not for everyone in Gaza. Enough for humanity's sake.
Yeah. For humanity's sake. Moving forward here. Canada is removing its tariffs on, its retaliatory tariffs on many U.S. products compliant with free trade. There were multiple people, including children, killed after a tour bus with about 50 people crashed in New York State today. So far, the death toll's at 5.
So we want to get to a bit of breaking news that we've had our eye on and continue to have our eye on. This is in Buffalo, New York. Take a look at the scene.
Just outside of Buffalo.
Outside of Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is a large response, first responder response. So a bus crash with multiple fatalities on the throughway shuts down all lanes of traffic. You're taking a look at that scene live there. This is just outside of Buffalo. So here's what the NBC affiliate, our content partners also, WGRD, is reporting. And this is exactly what Pembroke, New York.
Yes.
Okay. And again, this is just outside of Buffalo. A collision involving a bus on I-90 eastbound between exit 49, Route 78, which is Route 78, and exit 48A has shut down all lanes of traffic, according to New York State Police. Again, bear with us with this shot as it looks like they are adjusting. This is breaking news, so this happens as we try to get a better shot. New York State Police say there are multiple fatalities, entrapments, and injuries. Mercy Flight says there were 52 people on the bus. Again, there are multiple injuries, and we're reporting multiple fatalities, but they don't know how many need medical transport. You can see.
I'm glad it wasn't a school bus, at the very least, but it's sad. A couple random things. Ghislaine Maxwell's former girlfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, said she didn't believe that he committed suicide. She also believes that he was killed by a prison inmate over internal matters. Somebody pointed out John Bolton's address. 9 + 1 + 7 = 17. Follow Bolton. Clean, stage, learn how to archive offline. The streets will not be safe for them. What do you think it means? Hurricane Erin is going away, pretty much all but dead. We take a quick look here.
Hurricane Erin continues to grow as it churns off hundreds of miles from the East Coast. Now, while it's not expected to hit shore, the storm's impact is being felt. NBC's Erin McLaughlin is in Ashbury Park, New Jersey, with the latest.
Hey there, Hurricane Erin may be churning hundreds of miles away from here, but she's been wreaking havoc up and down the eastern seaboard from the mid-Atlantic to New England, leaving dangerous conditions behind. Yesterday here in New Jersey, the governor declared a state of emergency. Overnight, high tides pushed water into coastal towns here in New Jersey, flooding streets. In Margate County, fire officials say overnight they rescued at least 50 people stuck in rising waters. And then farther south, beach towns also inundated in Maryland and Delaware.
I swear it was almost like Washington, D.C. was the target for that hurricane. Don't ask me why. If you remember a while back, a Kentucky sheriff went in and gunned down a judge that he thought had done something with his daughter. It's more connected to that. This guy is connected to a sex ring, basically. In a state currently run by a governor who is self-proclaimed friends with the family out in the Epstein court documents, and also happens to hang out in a Clinton Global Initiative meeting months after public knowledge. Yeah, Kentucky, they got a crime problem. Tennessee, they got crooked cops. Just gonna say it. Sorry, Kentucky, Tennessee. And I'm sure you're not the only state. I live in Illinois, for crying out loud. FBI raided John Bolton's home this morning. Dan Scavino posted a video featuring John Bolton back in February. I don't know why that matters. Delta between those posts and a day, 911 days. Why did President Trump mysteriously retweet John Bolton's 9/11 tribute on November 9th? Think mirror. Was there something that connects John Bolton and 9/11? And are we getting close to finding out about the 9/11 files? I personally think so. Do Anons understand what has been unleashed? No ties. It says no ties equals no cabal ties. The optics in the oval aren't random. Every man standing free of the necktie symbolism of cut strings. No more puppet masters. Q told us the power you have is real. Fight, fight, fight. Insulation phase over. Patriots unleashed. The leash is off. The storm is alive. Pretty exciting, huh? And Trump made some kind of announcement about taking a percentage of Intel's stock or something here.
Intel's been left behind, as you know, compared to Jensen and some of our friends, NVIDIA, some of the people and the people in, because Intel should have never been. Intel was the biggest, most powerful chip company in the world. And then they started leaving. And they started going to foreign countries, in particular Taiwan. And if we had a president who would have said, okay, you can go to Taiwan, but we're going to put a 100% tariff or a 200 or 300 or a 500% tariff, anybody that sells into the United States has to pay. They wouldn't have left. They would have never left, and we wouldn't have. So in the meantime, we had people that were, in some cases, good politicians that weren't good on trade. I loved that man, but he was not good on trade. I totally disagree. He allowed the car industry to be taken out of this country. We lost 50% of our car industry. But that's all coming back. It's all coming back. But if somebody would have said that with Intel, would be a giant right now. Now, with that, they've had some bad management over the years, and they got lost. And I said, I think you should pay us 10% of your company. And they said, yes. That's about $10 billion. I don't get it. This comes to the United States of America. And I said, I think it would be good having the United States as your partner. He agreed. And they've agreed to do it. And I think
Trump knows how to negotiate. And that, it's just, he's not corrupt. Everyone else was too corrupt to negotiate. No new detainees can be brought to Alligator Alcatraz, which a federal judge is effectively shutting down, allegedly.
There, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the fight for Alligator Alcatraz isn't over yet. That coming after a Florida judge ruled overnight that no new detainees can be taken to the Migrant Detention Center. That judge also ordering the state to start shutting down some parts of Alligator Alcatraz within 60 days.
Battle, the federal judge issuing an injunction saying no more new detainees and that facility itself has to begin to be shut down over the next 60 days. That means taking down those fences, taking away the generators, and as you mentioned, the state immediately is appealing that action. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida saying they are going full speed ahead with the construction of a second such temporary detention center near the city of Jacksonville.
We're opening another facility in Northeast Florida called our Deportation Depot at the Baker Correctional Facility. Now, there's enough demand to fill both of those facilities.
Who proposes to stop him from doing it? You think those congressmen are going to get out there and try and stop him from building it? Not with alligators there. Lyle Menendez faces parole hearing after Eric's freedom was denied. Yeah, they had their parole hearing last night, one of them.
Just in moments ago, we're starting to be able to hear to the moments Eric Menendez was denied parole.
We just obtained this audio from yesterday. Here's a listen.
I believe in redemption or I wouldn't be doing this job. And in fact, I am probably more fulfilled by granting people second chances when deserved. But I also have a commitment to public safety. And I would agree with your counsel that actions speak louder than words. And based on the legal standards and evidence considered, we find that you continue to pose an unreasonable risk to public safety and are not suitable at this time.
We'll have more of that audio throughout the afternoon. Meantime, Lyle Menendez is making his case for freedom today.
Our Mark Robles is live outside the prison in San Diego with the breaking developments. Mark?
Yeah, Colleen and Philip, of course, that major headline was that 3-year parole denial for Eric yesterday, though he was told by the commissioner that it really could have been worse, describing some of the prison violations that sometimes lead to 5-year denials. As you mentioned, right now, his brother, Lyle, in this prison here in San Diego, undergoing the very same parole hearing.
And that this was it, and they were going to kill us.
Lyle Menendez, the older of the two Menendez brothers, appearing today via video conference for his first parole hearing after spending more than 3 decades behind bars. A decision from the state parole board is expected this afternoon. His brother Eric denied yesterday after a hearing that lasted approximately 10 hours.
Now, oh, what can you do? And some fairly fresh news, not fresh, but there was a mandatory evacuation issued following an explosion at this Louisiana plant. It's pretty wild looking.
Oh, shit.
Breaking news out of Louisiana, where an evacuation has been ordered in the area surrounding an oil field supply company after an explosion. Here's some video. You see smoke billowing from the large facility, and it could be seen for miles. Firefighters have been battling the flames for hours now. There are no reports of any injuries at this point, but there are concerns about air quality, which have led to a mile-wide evacuation order.
Yeah, guess you wouldn't want to be living near that, huh? All right, friends, that gets us through our news. What are we going to look at first tonight? I got some different things I wanted to take a look at. I wanted to show you, before we start, this piece that Patrick Byrne did the other day. It's not very long. Let's see if I can find it.
Has controlled the world for 200 plus years, and we get to be alive at a time to see it fall.
This is the big update from what I reported on in April.
You want me to tell you something?
Oh.
Even the government hasn't
Please
figured
do.
out.
I always love when you drop nuggets.
Yeah, it's all really has always been. The government does literally not know this yet because it didn't ask the right questions. But I'm just tired of waiting. Flynn told me, no longer wait. You give the government something, give them 2 or 3 days, and then you go public with it. This was all always out of Serbia. Even the original hacking of Venezuelans' own elections, everything was architected. So there's an office in Belgrade, Serbia, with Huawei machines that are actually running the computer, the deepest rig of all, the rig that comes from overseas, not the stuff we all know about, getting dead people to vote and getting, not all that on the ground stuff that we beat by tightening up all the enforcement in every county in America and all that stuff we're hearing about. But the nuke they always had was there's an office in Serbia that comes into the back of the machines and changes results if they still need to change them after they did all the ground cheating they need to. And that's been like this, it turns out, from the beginning in Venezuela. It's always been architected. Smartmatic was always architected around an office in Belgrade, Serbia, to be able to come in and do this. And then as other companies as other brands came on the market, it's all Smartmatic junk inside, whether it's Hart or Dominion or ES&S, as that's on the market, that Belgrade, those are just different hood ornaments on the same machines. And so the Belgrade Serbia office is not some recent invention. It's been architected into the Venezuela since the 04 referendum. It's been architected in from the beginning. And the United States government doesn't even know that because they're so slow in coming up to speed. Now, I don't mean to offend them, and I'm very pleased that they are coming up to speed, but I just can't take it anymore. The amount of stuff we still know that they haven't gotten to because they are so slow in digesting information.
Okay, let me ask you, Patrick, how does the government not know this? Because I know that there's communications with Serbia. There's other people who have reported on other aspects of this. That's part of the public record. Okay, so I'm not saying something that's not part of the public record. So how does the government not know?
The government knows all about Serbia now and the role Serbia played in 2020, okay. And they know all that now. What they didn't know, and I didn't know until 72 hours ago, was this Serbian evolution it's not some recent evolution. It was Venezuela designed its systems around this Serbian office back 20 years ago. Woo! Which is very interesting because now Serbia is really the western edge of the Chinese. It's the westernmost satellite of the Chinese empire. Serbia is right now. So given that we've seen Serbia in all this stuff in the last 5 to 10 years, I was saying that's got to be China. If it was architected around Serbia 20 years ago, that's when Serbia was more of it was a Chinese-Russian joint holding. That puts Russia in the middle of this as well. Russia, now I'm not saying the 2020 or the 2024 they were involved in, but if this has been operating for 20 years out of Serbia, then it's been doing so. Russian intelligence knows about it as well as Chinese intelligence.
This kind of goes back to, you mentioned all the other companies. This goes back to what somebody, it may have been you and I were talking. I talk about this every day with someone. You can't say voting machines, really. It's the software, right? And the software is a derivative of the original Smartmatic, and that's in every single voting machine, some kind of version of it, right?
Correct. It's like the Windows operating system of these machines. Exactly. And, even the fact that it's made people.
So how Serbia, does it play into all of them then, or is it just one company?
No, Serbia plays into all of them. Serbia plays into all of them now. But the thing is, you need to understand there's ways of cheating on the ground that you and Mike Lindell have been following for 4 years. And all these turning over all the ways they cheat on the ground, from stuffing voter records and voting them and the mail-in, this, that. But at the end of the day, they've got this switch they can throw from Serbia and force at the end. So they cheat all they can to get their candidate to win. But if he doesn't win, at the end of the day, they just force it anyway from Serbia. So that's their ace in the hole.
Yes.
And what I did not know until the last 72 hours was their involvement is not a recent thing. It's been in for 20 years. They've been involved, which from an intelligence point of view.
If they've been in rigging elections for 20 years, how many elections have they impacted?
Oh, I can tell you one of the most dramatic moments of this that has to be in the movie was last summer.
Now, I reported on this in April, but it's good to relive this because this is important. How many countries have been affected?
I was over in a safe house in Europe with a bunch of people who are like very knowledgeable from this industry, from the bad guys, got bad guys to flip. And they were with me in a safe house, all protected by gunmen and stuff. And Mike Flynn came over to see them. He came over and he took 2 days and came down to see me. And but we spent 90 minutes with these people. And these are people who've been doing this. And I said, General Flynn, I haven't told you this story, have I? This was one of the most dramatic moments where I said, remember, you're going to meet these people that kind of overthrew our country. Don't get angry. You're going to want to get angry. He said, of course. I've interrogated you. I said, okay, well, we sat there for 90 minutes and he's so poker face. He's so wonderful. He was very kind and gentle. And I could tell he was steaming, but he was keeping his composure. But he was steaming what he was hearing. And we were about to leave, and he was satisfied. He had asked all the engineers all the questions, and he was satisfied he was hearing the truth. I said, before we left, I told one of the engineers, tell the general how much this been going on? And this guy kind of gulped, and he looked General Flynn in the eyes, and he said, "Sir, General, we've been manipulating elections for 20 years in 72 nations."
Woo! 72 nations. So just think about that. This is their plan: destroy America and bring it.
So I just wanted to show you that little clip, as a little reminder. Love hearing from Patrick Byrne, and he's got a lot to do with all that. I wanted to show you a bit of this new episode on Roseanne. Is really fascinating. So let's take a look at just a bit of this. I got to fast forward here too.
Beautiful and melodious voice. Welcome to the Roseanne Barr podcast.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing thin.
Well, you guys know how I love to talk to geniuses, and I got a big banger of a genius show today. This person is someone I've known for a long time and whom I love so much. He does call me mom, and I call him son. And because we're on the same wavelength in many areas, particularly the spiritual area, and looking deeply into things. And so I'm very happy to have on as my guest today, Bishop Larry Gaiters. Hi, Bishop.
So great to see you, Mom. I'm telling you, and Brother Jake, I'm telling you, it's such a great honor to be back home with you guys. And Mom, you are truly the voice of America. And I thank God because you call those things out. And I thank God for you and for Brother Jake, my brother. And there's a lot going on today. So we're
I know. I wore my QAnon hat because, QAnon are some deep digging researchers.
Yes.
But I have to say, I have never seen anybody who has dug in as deep as you. You're in every rabbit hole. You went past rabbit holes. You're into some tunnels of stuff.
Yes, going down those foundations. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Obama. Oh, so much to unpack here.
Well, I guess let's start with Epstein and get to Obama. And you go. I want to hang on every word you say because you're a truth teller and you're a man of God, and I love you.
I love you too, Mom, and to your powerful listeners here on the Roseanne Barr Show. Jeffrey Epstein, former CIA agent, heavily connected with Mossad. And, with Pam Bondi telling us not too long ago, the Epstein files is on my desk. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my desk. And the way that the White House handled it some weeks ago was a mess, was an absolute mess. And I do believe that President Trump is innocent. He, we're told his name is on the Epstein list, but he wasn't on those flights and he wasn't anywhere near St. James Island. But the way that the White House has been handling this, they had not been reading the room. I mean, it's not good. And it's not a good look, And so a lot of people think that Jeffrey Epstein is alive, but two of the guards that was watching his cell, my staff and I at Global Spiritual Revolution Radio, I am the host of a nationally syndicated radio talk show called Global Spiritual Revolution Radio on AM 970 The Answer, the Salem Media Group out of New York, and also here in Los Angeles. We're going to be having them on in a few weeks. And they've been telling me by phone calls, Mom and Jake, that the cameras, the video that was supposedly shown by Pam Bondi, those videos are fake because the cameras were out of whack. The cameras were, as they say, catastrophically not working. So somebody is lying, knowing enough about a subject to think we're right, but not enough about the subject to know we're wrong. So this Epstein thing is a mess. I provide a voice for the voiceless in these children. And so if the Epstein list is revealed today, I believe the United States government will fall, and maybe it needs to fall in order for it to be rebuilt back up. So Epstein is involved. Obama is connected. The Diddy list, all of these ley lines are connected. And we got pedophiles in our government on both sides of the aisle, pedophiles throughout the royal dynastic families of Eastern, Central, and Western Europe. So this is a mess. And I don't think that the White House has handled it correctly. And hopefully President Trump can really, if I'm President Trump, I would expose the Epstein list, because that was a campaign promise, you know. And so Barack Obama is in trouble now. Hillary Clinton is in trouble. Bill Clinton. Yeah. And these devils. And so we here at Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group, every Tuesday and Friday, we're exposed in this. So the Epstein list must be exposed. I was invited to interview her a couple months ago.
Who?
Yeah, I was, but I was instructed by.
Who are you going to interview?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh.
Yeah, I was. And so, but I was instructed by members of the Trump administration to hold off on that until the Attorney General Pam Bondi would speak to her. And so this pedophile ring must be exposed. Absolutely.
Well, I think that Trump, you know, they found all those Byrne bags and everything that they were keeping up there in the Southern District of New York, where Comey's daughter is in charge of the whole. You know, I mean, the corruption is so deep. I think maybe they compromised this is just a thought. They may have compromised the information and put innocent people on there. And that's why he's holding it off. I mean, this is what I think. And also I think, well, this operation, it may go a lot deeper than even Trump suspected. And he might be holding on to it for leverage.
Yes.
I think Zelensky's in on it too.
Absolutely. They all are. I mean, there's a lot of names on it, just like you said, Mom, these individuals are innocent, some of these names. So, but at the same time, if I was President Trump, I would expose the guilty names, but protect those names who happen to be on the list, but did not necessarily take be a part of many of those parties on those Epstein planes and were not a part of St. James Island. But I think you are 100% right, guys. You know, President Trump is using it for leverage. He's using it for leverage. And I was told this past weekend that Zelensky's name was on it. I mean, the president of Ukraine. I mean,
because Ukraine, that was all Obama's playground. Obama and Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett, not only did they have Iran for their playground money laundering, but Ukraine was, you know, they overthrew that country for that purpose too. And to do all that dirty, and Biden was in on it, all that dirty stuff they were doing there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think his meeting with Zelensky today is maybe the nail in the coffin where it goes, hey, you know, this is what you're going to do.
Yes, because, and again, getting back to the word leverage, like you said, Mom. And so hopefully this war can end. Zelensky's been making billions of dollars off of this war. And so hopefully we can put an end to it. And some of the European Union leaders are at the White House today, kind of holding, babysitting Zelensky's hands. So I think President Trump has got the goods on Zelensky, and he's got the goods on the deep state. And I also agree with President Trump nationalizing the FBI and the federal government in cleaning up D.C. It is a mess. And you got some black folk, not all, crying systemic racism. No, it's called ineptitude. And so it's time for us to crush the deep state. And, you know, with Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, her life is on the line. And I was told that she might be given a pardon. That would be a catastrophic mistake by President Trump. I don't think she will receive a pardon. I think she'll be in prison for the duration of her sentence, which is like 20 plus years. So these pedophiles have to be exposed. I'm told at least 65 to 70% of the Democratic Party, as far as the House and the Senate, are full of pedophiles, and about 20 to 25% of those in the GOP in both the House and the Senate are a part of the Epstein list. So this is leverage on the part of President Donald J. Trump. For, I would say, since 1980, guys, 100,000 children have been missing in the District of Columbia. Think about that. 100,000 children. And those are the numbers that we do know. So we call this adrenochrome. We call this organ harvesting. We call this child trafficking. And so if you guys remember some years ago, Trayvon Martin, his heart was missing. And during that case, the parents of Trayvon Martin had no idea where he was for a period of about 4 days. They did not know where his body was. Now, former Vice President Dick Cheney was in the area during that time. Then all of a sudden, he gets a heart transplant. Now, I'm not trying to put two and two together. I am what I call an apostolic assassin and a Pentecostal mercenary. In other words, my job is to decapitate the system. So Trayvon Martin's body was serviced by what I call a Boulay Sicker Society funeral home. Now, for your
let's go there.
Just let him cook. Just let Larry cook.
Oh, thank you, Brother Jay. So the Boulay Sicker Society is the equivalent of Yale University Skulls and Bones, because Black Americans were forbidden, ladies and gentlemen, of joining the Yale University Skulls and Bones. So with Rockefeller money, on the 15th of May 1904 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Rockefellers were the ones that created the Boulay Sicker Society, which is a Black Sicker Society that's now headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, you ever feel like your mind is racing or your mood's dipping or stress is stealing your clarity? You're not alone, and your only option is not prescription drugs with side effects. Introducing MindLift from the Wellness Company, a doctor-formulated nutraceutical designed to restore calm, clarity, and emotional balance. This unique blend features low-dose lithium orotate to gently uplift your mood and support healthy cognition. Powerful adaptogens like ashwagandha root help your body manage stress by supporting adrenal function and regulating cortisol levels. It also includes calming GABA and key amino acids to ease anxious feelings and support neurotransmitter production. DHA from algae rounds out the formula, protecting brain cells and promoting smooth communication between neurons. Maybe it's time to reset your mind naturally. Head to twc.health/RB and use the code RB to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/RB. Use the code RB to get 10% off. Take control of your mental wellness with MindLift today.
I just love TWC. Every week they give us a new product that's like the thing you didn't know you need that you do need, and they do it right.
That sounds really good.
Lithium, especially. I'm going to get a hand on that.
Which they
Isn't it called the Prince Albert Masons?
Yes, absolutely. And they're all interconnected. And so the Prince Hall Masonic Order, you cannot become a Boulay Sicker Society member without being a Prince, a member of the Prince Masonic Order, the Prince Hall Masonic Order. So you got Barack Obama, his boyfriend, Michelle Obama. Then you got Eric Holder. Okay, then you got Reverend Al, Vitamin B Deficient Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Eric Holder. All of these individuals, y'all gonna have me start preaching now, are a part of the Boulay Sicker Society. And so the term Boulay is a Greek term meaning they are the guardians of the system that has kept Black folk in enslavement for over 500 years. So with Rockefeller money, in 1904, the Boulay Sicker Society. Now, it's interesting that their logo is a half of a lion, half male, half female. with its right paw on an urn. You are in which they keep the ashes of dead people. Now, if you go back at least 5,000 years into Greek antiquity, the original Boule logo was the same logo, half man, half woman, half lying with breasts, with its left paw on a skull. The present day logo has a right paw of this animal on an urn. So if you connect the term skull urn or urn skull on Google Images, it represents jewelry and necklaces, which witches and warlocks wear today, that carries the ashes of their dead loved ones. So the Boule Secret Society, they are the gatekeepers. They don't love the masses of Black Americans in the Black diaspora. So the Boule Secret Society, like Roland Martin, all of these, what I call house Negroes, these are the ones who are indeed the sellouts and are protecting of the pedophiles and protecting those who are destroying the Black community. When you look at the history of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she had 3 children. 2 of her children did not belong to her husband. One child belonged to H.G. Wells. The other child belonged to Cecil B. DeMille, the former Hollywood director. This woman in 1929 had recruited Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who is revered in the annals of Black American history, in the history of the Black diaspora. And so he told Margaret Sanger in 1929, if you want to take over Black America through Planned Parenthood, you have to target the Black pulpit. So 500 pastors during the month of April 1929 in Harlem, led by Dr. Adam Clayton Powell Sr., who was the chairman then of what we call the Harlem Pastoral Alliance. Every pastor was paid off $500 for what? To allow this witch, this trash, Margaret Sanger, to come on these Black pulpits and to tell Black women to abort their children. So the life of a Black child or any other child is only worth $500. This is evil. This is absolutely insane. Doing the same thing, thinking that we're going to get a different result. So that's the Boule Secret Society, but they're being exposed. I'm hated, especially by a lot of Black folk on the left, because I have the testicular fortitude, the size of 50 Mount Rushmores, to say what needs to be said and done. So that's kind of a snippet of the Boule Secret Society. And, they have not exposed Harvey Weinstein. They have not exposed P. Diddy. They have not exposed Jeffrey Epstein. And so I find that to be very, very interesting. Again,
you think it's interesting? Here's what I've been saying lately, because, I've researched too. And I've been saying, hey, would there ever have been an Epstein Island without MI6 and the British throne?
Ooh, there would have never been an Epstein Island. That's an excellent question, Mom. There would have never been an Epstein Island without MI6, MI5, MI6, which is the British equivalent of the American CIA. Mm-hmm. When you look at the bloodline of Jeffrey Epstein, going back into history, we have a small staff here in LA and a staff in New York. They do nothing but researching, because I'm on some radio show or powerful podcast like your show, Mom, every other day from around the world. And so when you look at MI6, when you look at Assad, Donald Barr, right, Bill Barr's father, hired Jeffrey Epstein in 1974 to be a part of the faculty of one of the most prestigious schools in America, the Dalton School in Manhattan. Jeffrey Epstein did not have a college degree. He did not have a university degree, but some way, somehow, he got access to children. Why? So this Jeffrey Epstein, and when you look at Ghislaine Maxwell, now the real name of the Maxwells is not called Maxwell, is called the Hawk family, Hoch, out of Transylvania, out of Eastern Europe, out of Romania. The bloodline of Ghislaine Maxwell through the Hawk family are not only related to Vlad the Impaler, that we call Count Dracula, interesting, but she's also related to King Charles, who's really on his deathbed. And she's also, Ghislaine Maxwell, related to the Oswald family out of central Germany.
Wow.
Yes, Lee Harvey Oswald. So the Hawk family, the Maxwells, the House of Windsor, and the Oswald family are all interconnected together. This is what I call the global departmentalization of darkness. So MI6, especially MI6, and with the help of Mossad, made...
Well, don't Mossad and the CIA and all of Five Eyes work under MI6, which is really working under Swiss Octagon?
Yes, it's absolutely. MI6 being involved with trying to destroy the presidency of Donald J. Trump. You talk about going back to Trump's first presidency, not just the Epstein list, but also Fusion GPS. Okay. And so all of this is MI6 money because the British Empire, they think they're still an empire. They believe that they have the legal right to control the United States of America. And this is the right reason why through the Act of 1871, we became a corporation. When President Trump came in 2016, he destroyed that. Yes. So you got King Charles, you have the British Crown, who are actually German. They're not British. They're not English. Okay. Right. And so their bloodline, they're Nazis. That's all they are. So I blame MI6 more so than Mossad or even the CIA. It's MI6 who are controlling the CIA in the Mossad. It is MI6 and MI5 who is really the epicenter of this Epstein list on a global scale. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
And but the child sacrifice cults, of which they are, that's what they are.
Yeah.
And that goes way back. It's like it goes back to like Babylon and before that, doesn't it? They've been here a long time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, mom. It goes back thousands of years, even during the time of Nimrod, going back nearly 6,000 years. This is where the origination of the Christmas tree came out of Babylon. Christ has nothing to do with Christmas. Christ was not born on December 25th. Tammuz, born on the 25th of December, being the son of Nimrod and Nimrod's mother, Semiramis. This is where we get the term seminary or seminary, excuse my language. So the tree actually represents the body of Nimrod. Now, every 25th of December, going back into the era of the Babylonian Empire, the heads of children were decapitated once a year and placed underneath the trees. It's sick, I know. So when you look at child sacrifice and child pedophilia, it goes back to Egypt. It goes back to Babylon. It goes back to the Persian empires, including the Roman and the Greek empires. And so Planned Parenthood is a killing machine because when you look at Planned Parenthood today, they target Black and Latino and low-income white neighborhoods. Yeah. It is not by accident. And so in 1930, man, this is powerful here as we're talking about what I call the immaculate deception of history. Margaret Sanger had contracted a Black woman by the name of Dorothy Taylor to pen in 1930 the Negro Project, which was the final solution concerning the Black question. In other words, with the help of the Boule Secret Society and Dorothy Taylor, they helped Margaret Sanger to target Black homes and Black neighborhoods from the 1930s up to this day through the Negro Project. Well, Dorothy Taylor, who penned that document, was supported by Black organizations, the NAACP, CORE, SNCC, Urban League. The NAACP was not created by Black folk. It was created by an attorney out of Romania, out of Eastern Europe, by the name of Henry Moskowitz and the Spingarn brothers. And so Dorothy Taylor, who penned that 1930 Negro Project, her husband's name, was Robert Rashawn Taylor. His name was used for the biggest plantation ghetto in American history, the Robert Taylor homes, which were eventually torn down in the mid-2000s. But their granddaughter is a individual by the name of, Valerie June Jarrett. Valerie Jarrett's grandparents, especially her grandmother, Dorothy Taylor, penned the 1939 Negro Project for the extermination of their own children. This is evil. To me, Valerie Jarrett, she's a devil. She's the one that supports Dr. Tony Little, Midget Fauci. These demons do not support not just the Black community. They don't support America, Mom, because you're dealing with.
Aren't they all just bloody commies? Aren't they all just bloody communists?
They're all communists, every one of them. When you talk about the origination of communism, socialism, fascism, Marxism, and all of these different vulturistic isms in connection to child trafficking, goes back to Karl Marx,
Yes, it does.
And his girlfriend, Frederick Engels, during the 1848 Communist Manifesto. Y'all got me started here now. And so there's three key words in the Communist Manifesto: build back better.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, right?
That means tear everything down. That means destroy everything, because they cannot build. They don't know the first thing about building anything.
That's it. And so when you look, Rules for Radicals. I don't know if you guys remember that book.
Yes, I do.
Saul Alinsky's parents were a part of the Bolshevik Revolution in October 1917. Benjamin Alinsky and Sarah Tannenbaum were a part of the Bolshevik Revolution, and they were sent by Stalin to the United States by ship, on January 5th, 1918. They docked in New York City and took a train to Chicago. And then eventually they had a son by the name of Saul Alinsky, who would many years later create Black people from the South Side of Chicago to be a part of the Communist Party USA. Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. You're talking these demons all going all the way back to Lenin, Stalin, and Trotsky, whose real name is Leon Bronstein, and the Bolshevik Revolution. And they're all connected to pedophilia and child trafficking. And it's interesting too. What came to my mind?
Marx in his book dedicated to Lucifer.
Yes, and this is Hillary Clinton's hero.
Yeah,
this is this is Hillary Clinton's hero. This is Barack Obama with 1,000 different aliases. That's his hero. But communism is a cancer. So whether it's communism and socialism and Marxism and fascism,
you know what it means. Yeah. You know what it leads to? Mass starvation. That's always their goal. Always is their goal.
Yeah, this Mondani character in New York said he's going to destroy New York City. I see bread lines, brothers and sisters. I see not just bread lines. I see chaos. Yeah. Mondani, he's a devil. Okay, you're going to defund the police. Okay, well, who's going to protect the neighborhoods? He's not.
Nobody.
Yeah. And so when you
want chaos, they want blood. They love blood. Oh my God, they love blood, especially the blood of children.
Oh my God! And what came to my mind just now, and forgive me for going all over the map, but I'm just going.
No, we love it.
No, I love it. I love it.
The creation of the Bloods and Crips, the CIA, also with the help of MI6, helped create the Bloods and the Crips.
Absolutely.
It was not Raymond Washington and Tookie Williams who created the Bloods and Crips. Now, through a Germanic interpretation, the term Cain means blood, and the term Abel means crypt or coffin. So that's blood and Crips, or Cain and Abel together, cannibal or cannibalism or spirit cooking.
Wow.
So you're talking about racism, sexism. You're talking about child trafficking. The Bloods and Crips were a creature of American intelligence, especially British intelligence. There is a high-level covert department within MI6. It's called Strat 2 and Strat 3. Strat 2 and Strat 3 is a covert operational department within MI6 they have political assassins. They have assassins who take out world leaders. They sabotage governmental elections. This is MI6 because they were designed by the Rothschilds. Now, going to from the Bloods and the Crips to the Rothschilds, that's not their real name. No. That's interesting. Their real name goes back at least 2,000 years by the name of the Bacharach family. That's interesting. Bacharach, Bacharach, which according to Flavius Josephus, a New Testament historian, through his 2-volume set, The Antiquity of the Jews, he said that the Bacharach family created the Sanhedrin Council. And then centuries later, in 1501, the Bacharachs changed their name to Bauer. And then 76 years later, in 1577, the Bauers became the Rothschilds, or the Red Shield, because they wanted access to not just to Vatican gold, but to the Vatican Future Bank. And so you're dealing with these 13 families, from the Rothschilds down to the Farnese family out of Italy. There's an interesting book as we're exposing Epstein, MI6, MI5, the CIA, but mostly MI6. There's a 1969 book called The History of Sigma Pi Phi, or Boule, written by a 33rd degree Prince Hall Mason, Dr. Charles H. Wesley. He talks about in chapter 5 that there is what we call the Knights of the Round Table, the 9 Knights of the Round Table. He mentions the first 9 families out of the 13, from the Rothschilds down to the Lee family, L.I. out of Hong Kong, and that each of these first 9 families out of the 13 are protected by the Greek Pan-Hellenic Divine Nine that was created in 1930 as the National Pan-Hellenic Greek Divine Nine of Black fraternities and Black sororities, are part of Sigma Pi Phi or Boule. Every family of the first 9 families of the 13 Illuminati families are protected by each of the 9 knights, or what we call the Black Knights of the Round Table, Omega Psi Phi, Kappa Alpha Psi. All of these fraternities of the Pan-Hellenic Greek Divine Nine, their task is to protect the first 9 families politically. Whereas the last 4 remaining Illuminati family members are the Medici cartel, out of Italy. Then you have the Orsinis, the Colonnas, and the Farneses. Their job is to protect the 4 corners of the Boule Secret Society, whose job is to protect the first 9 families. This is sick. And when you look at historically Black colleges and universities, they were not started with Black money. Black people didn't have that type of money.
Right.
So a man by the name of Julius Rosenwald, who built the 5,000 Rosenwald schools in the South, who also gave a $100,000 check to Tuskegee University in 1929, that would be the financial foundation for the Tuskegee experiment. Julius Rosenwald, who was one of the founding fathers of the University of Chicago, along with John D. Rockefeller, and John D. Rockefeller's wife, Laura Spelman, was a major proponent of eugenics, especially Black eugenics and Black depopulation. I'm talking about the wife of John D. Rockefeller, Laura Spelman, who would go on to create an all-Black female college out of Atlanta, Spelman College. So this is heavy here, as we're just exposing this deception. But getting back to these pedophiles, they have been running amok for thousands of years, going back to the time of the Babylonian empires, because the
well, you can't be in the ruling class if you ain't one.
That's it. You can't. The higher people go within, let's say, the rap music industry here in Hollywood, they have to sacrifice somebody. Okay, there's a term during the time of the Atlantic slave trade. It was called buck breaking or butt breaking.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what Diddy's doing. That's exactly what it was, buck breaking.
Because those slaves who could not be controlled were sent to the Caribbean islands, and they were tied down, mostly men, stripped naked, tied down chest first on the ground, and molested by a male slave master. If it was a female slave, she was raped by a female slave master. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. And this is the reason why I have a powerful book coming out in January of 2026.
Well, that right there is the system of slavery. That is how it works and how it's always worked, right?
Yes, there was one of the founding fathers of our country, a man by the name of John Jay, who created the Manumission Seeker Society, M-A-N-U mission, out of New York City. So John Jay knew that the institution of slavery would not last forever. So he said, let's redesign a new slave, regardless of their race, creed, or ethnicity. And so let's redesign a new slave. Let's buck break them psychologically. And let's call a holiday Juneteenth. Okay. So Juneteenth, going back to the 19th of June in 1965 in Galveston, Texas, Major General Gordon Granger read an edict from the courthouse steps there on the 19th of June in 1965 in Galveston, Texas, said that you are now hereby free slaves. You're still a slave, but you're a free slave. And now Black folk went crazy, and they were happy because when Joe Diaper Biden signed that into law, we're thinking, okay, we're free. No, because there is a thing such as the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. The term emancipation, Mom, does not mean freedom. It means that the individual is a new manumission controlled slave. You can be a billionaire, but you can't own anything. You can be rich, but you're not wealthy, because you are not you and I, but those of the Black masses, and not just Black, but any other color, they're controlled slaves. Why do you think we have what we call Wall Street? Wall Street, one of the founding fathers, was a man by the name of August Belmont Schoenberg, one of the founding fathers of Wall Street, a very powerful man, was the founding creator of the Democratic Party in New York State, right? The New York State Democratic Party. He never whipped his slaves. He will always burn his slaves at the stake. That's why the horse race that he created is called the Belmont Stakes. because August Belmont Schoenberg, the chairman of the New York State Democratic Party, was a major slave owner. And Wall Street is called Wall Street because during the transatlantic slave trade, thousands of slaves had docked on the East Harbor River near Wall Street, lined up thousands of men, women, and children, and they were auctioned to many of the powerful financial houses today, Bank of America, AIG, okay, Merrill Lynch. They were drafted. This is where you get the term NBA draft, NFL draft, Major League Baseball draft. It doesn't matter what color you are. The system thinks you and I are still slaves, but they feed off of the blood of children. The word of God tells us the life of the flesh is in the blood, but the deep state thinks the opposite of that. They don't think the life of the flesh is in the blood. They think that the life of the blood is in the flesh. That's spirit cooking. And listen, this system's coming down. It has to come down. And because there are trillions of dollars missing from the Pentagon. Going back to 1993, that was the year of the financial rise of Jeffrey Epstein. So
he did it. You know, I was looking at what he did was he didn't just traffic and all that stuff, but they taught him how to blow up Wall Street and create the bubble, and then create, starvation, and, did the Marxist flip, which is starvation and destroying. So he went around and destroyed national sovereignty in every country. Yes. That's what he was really up to besides eugenics.
Hey guys, it's Jake here. As you know, I'm an old middle-aged man who's graying and bald, and I have 2 daughters and a wife, and I need to take care of them. So life insurance is something that I look into all of the time. But as I was investigating and talking to my brother-in-law Josh, who many of you know from republiclifenow.com and the annuities program that we sold, the guy's a genius. He told me about a new product that is part of the life insurance, parachute, if you will. But it's called Living Benefits, and it's going to change the game. And I wanted to tell you about it because you guys got to get into it right now. And essentially what it is it's a life insurance policy. You pay it, the whole thing. And then if something, God forbid, happens and you, while you're alive, need that money, you don't have to wait until you're dead for it to go to your family when it could have helped save your life. With Living Benefits, you can access your own life insurance policy payout, or whatever you want to call it, while you're alive. Let's say you get a catastrophic illness or get caught on fire or something horrible happens. You can pull from your own life insurance policy and save your own life. Go to republiclifenow.com. Check it out. Make sure you ask for the Living Benefits life insurance because it's a separate part of life insurance. I don't want to get too technical, but just think about it. You can actually potentially save your own life with your own life insurance policy. It's a game changer, and I highly recommend you do it.
Exactly. He contributed millions of dollars to Harvard University, to Yale, to Princeton. It's interesting, Mom and Jake, that there is a powerful organization called the Lifeboat Foundation, created by Eric Klein, a former Wall Street hedge fund manager. Members of the executive board were Jeffrey Epstein, who was good friends with another deep state individual by the name of Jeffrey Morgan Steibel, who was the former business partner of the late Kobe Bryant. I have a book coming out on the 26th of January, 2026, which is will be the sixth, I believe the 7th year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant, if we're counting the year 2020 as year one. It represents the assassination of Kobe Bryant, a Luciferian project completed. Kobe Bryant found out not just about the Lifeboat Foundation, but millions of his dollars were being used by Jeffrey Morgan Steibel, along with Jeffrey Epstein, for child trafficking. Now, to the average person, they think this is crazy, but it's not. So these people, not just on the left, but a part of the system, they don't care if your name is Kobe Bryant. They don't care if your name is LeBron James. He's next. When he retires, LeBron James, his number will be called too. Dwayne Wade, the NBA player, his son Zion, okay?
Daughter.
There you go. It's not called Zaya. There is a powerful website. I think it's on the Business Journal website, one of those business journal websites, but it talks about Dwayne Wade has a misunderstanding of LGBTQ communities. It shows Dwayne Wade's hair in the form of braids of miniature pyramids. Those miniature pyramids on the hair of Dwayne Wade in the form of braids was one of the declassified symbols that the FBI declassified some years ago that the global underground pedophile network uses. Why would Dwayne Wade have that on his hair? He's a part of it. These people like LeBron James, okay? There's no party like a Diddy party. All of these people are going down. When LeBron James retires, his number will be called too. It's called a Luciferic sacrifice because the first letters of Lucifer, L, Satan, S, devil, D, there's your LSD. But in Ezekiel 28:13, out of the 9 stones on the breastplate of Lucifer, we're exposing pedophilia, King Tyrus, who is the alter ego of Lucifer in Ezekiel 28:13. The first 3 stones is Sardis, S, Topaz, T, Diamond, D, STD. So when we say STD, sexually transmitted diseases, that's the nature of the Luciferic system. And then when you talk about the pharmaceutical, and I got to be careful because I don't want you guys to get a strike, but the pharmaceutical industrial complex, that Tyrus being the alter ego of Lucifer in Ezekiel chapter 28, for your Persian students, the term Ty, Ty means attachment, and then Ras is one of the thousands of gods within the pantheon of Persian demonology called Lenal, tied to Lenal or Tylenol. And then in Matthew 15:22, the Syrophoenician woman came to Christ. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. Now, when you connect the words A to the word devil, you get a Cyprian term, which is a dialect of Greek, meaning Advil. Pharmakia, pharmaceutical. So this shutdown that we had back in March of 2020 was a part of a global Luciferic plan to destroy God's creation. Why did they want us, Mom, to separate 6 feet from each other? Now, during
they
that,
buried us 6 feet deep. That's why.
Yes, exactly. And witches are separated 6 feet from each other in order to invoke the underworld. So during that time, we had 7.7 billion people. Times that by 6 feet of separation, that's 46 billion, 200 million degrees of separation. Well, you and I have 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother, 23 from the father, 46, 200 million. But in Enoch 6, it says 200 angels met on Mount Hermon. According to Enoch 6, Genesis 6, and Jude 6, 666, these 200 angels being the 10th, of these 20 angels being the 10th of 200, wanted to infect the DNA of God's creation. So, but it backfired, okay? I've got a book I'm going to send to you guys through via a PDF version, a 4-volume set entitled Comprehending the State of the Human Condition. Volume 2 talks about that there is a listing of the 20 fallen angels out of the 200 who met on Mount Hermon. Every name of these fallen angels in Chaldean represents a demonic code of destroying mankind's DNA. So you talk about pedophilia, the underground pedophilia trafficking network, all orchestrated by MI6. So London, England, when you talk about the difference between London in the Corporation of London. Now, the masses of the people in London, a lot of them don't know this, that their flag having a double hex sign, a double cross sign, they've been taught that represents the Union Jack flag. When in reality, that is a flag of placing a curse upon the British throne. We're talking about going back to the year of 1215. Okay, so when Pope Innocent III, one of these devils out of the Vatican, had submitted a doctrinal plan of controlling the British Empire. Okay, let's control the British Empire by controlling King John I during the Act of 1215. Thereby, Pope Innocent III created what we call the Union Jack flag, which is a symbol of a curse upon the British Empire. Now, to the average person, they think this is crazy because they're stuck in the matrix. So the British Empire, the House of Windsor is coming down, okay? And King Charles is getting paid for what he did to Diana. That was a takeout. MI5, especially MI6, simply assassinated her because she was exposing Prince Charles, his involvement in the pedophile system within the British Empire. These are mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing information.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also the British Crown does control the UN, the Vatican. They are still the British Empire. I think Trump took them down. I think Trump severed some of their power there. When the Queen died, they lost a lot of it. But they still are the British Empire, which means Standard Oil.
See, this is the reason why they took out Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi wasn't gassing his people. MI6, the British Empire, with the help of the CIA, took out Gaddafi because Gaddafi said, we're going to create the United States of Africa. And if you want to buy Libyan and African oil, you're going to have to do it in gold. Right. So the Western powers of the United States, Canada, France, Great Britain, Germany, they could not afford that. So let's say he was gassing his people and they took out Gaddafi. Now Libya is in a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the British Empire.
Slave markets. They have slave markets there of African people.
Exactly. And you know what? It's interesting, Mom and Jake, as we're talking about this pedophile system, the immaculate deception of history. Mm-hmm. The term Africa is not the original name of the continent. Right. The original name of the continent of the motherland was called Alkebulan, which is a Coptic Egyptian word meaning the Garden of Eden, or the mother of all civilization. During the Second Punic War in 202 BC, a 5-star Roman general by the name of Leo Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal and changed the name of the continent from Alkebulan, which means the Garden of Eden, to Africanus, which is Africa today. Now, a lot of Black people won't agree with that. They will tell you and I, it was the Afri, A-F-R-I people who conferred that title upon Leo Scipio, but they did not. The Africanus family had changed the name of the continent from Alkebulan, the mother of all civilization, the Garden of Eden, to Africanus, which is Africa today. The Africanus family, out of the Roman Empire, built the first underground dumb tunnels for the trafficking of children. And you remember, I said about 10, 15 minutes ago, Juneteenth, Major General Gordon Granger was eventually arrested and hung because he ran a pedophile network of the confiscation of Black children shortly after June 19th, 1865. But the majority of Black people don't know this. And so this system of Great Britain Great Britain is really a continuation of the Roman Empire.
Absolutely.
London, England, or what we call the United Kingdom, was created by the Roman Empire.
Right.
We have a lot of Palestinian students, Mom and Jay. I keep telling them, and they don't like they're not going to like what I'm about ready to say, but the Palestinians have no right to the land of Israel, because the term Palestine is not a Middle Eastern term.
It's a Roman word that means Palestine. And it was named that to humiliate the Jews after they lost the war.
Yes.
But, we'll talk about all that, but we got to do another show about all that, because that's part of the PSYOP. But aren't we just living, to put it in shorthand, when they say the New World Order and all that, well, the N don't stand for new, it stands for Nazi. Nazi World Order. And they don't like Jews, and they don't like black people.
Right.
And all of their experimentations on captive populations in America were done on black people, black orphans. Fauci was part of that in New York, black orphans, doing medical experiments on them. And then when you hear that 100,000 children in Washington, D.C. have gone missing, that means black children.
Yes.
They, when they go over there to Haiti and all those children turn up missing, and then there's tied to Epstein Island, they, I think they're child eaters, and they love the melanated livers for their snacks. That's how evil they are. I'm telling you, that's how not human they are.
Yes. And you look for your powerful listeners, if they can go on Google Images and type in baby soup.
Baby soup?
What's that? What happens when you do that?
It's a delicacy that came up, and this is nothing against our Chinese brothers and sisters, but going back thousands of years, children who were sacrificed, their bones were crushed to be a broth. And so there are Chinese restaurants in the Chinatown section of New York City that one of their delicacies on their menus is called baby soup. When Angel Cuomo was the governor, before he had to resign a couple of years ago, he allowed thousands of pounds of meat that came up out of central China. So a baby soup is a broth made out of the bones and the muscles and the ligaments of aborted children.
Oh my God.
This is how sick.
I knew that. Hillary was in that business, and she got busted up there in, what was it? Northwest, for having, where they were taking those aborted parts of babies and paying better for full-term abortions, selling that for protein, and it ended up in McDonald's hamburgers. I read it.
Yeah.
Some of that Bill Gates meat is fake meat. It's aborted babies.
Yes.
And Americans are like la-di-da. I wonder what Kim Kardashian's butt looks like today. La-di-da. Well, any la-di-da Americans, they don't realize that they're going straight to hell. They have no idea. They think, well, if I ignore this, I'll be on my merry way. Well, no, you won't.
No.
You won't be on your merry way. You're allowing, with your ignorance, and you're, ignoring everything that's there that you should be stopping.
Yes.
You're going to hell for it. That's what happens, right? Doesn't it say that if you look the other way from evil and you don't confront it and fight it, that's what God tells us to do. And if we don't, we will be judged for it. We're going to hell for it.
Woo! Look at these vaccines, MRC5. Ran by the Medical Research Council out of England, ran by MI6, MRC5. Then you have another element called PER, PERC6, and HEK 297 are elements of aborted children.
Good.
That is a part of the composition of vaccines. And these devils are so bold out of England, out of MI6, that when you during the shutdown during 2020, actually up until this day, there's an element called graphene oxide.
Oh, yes, I know about that. Yeah.
Remember that graphene oxide? And my staff and I put up a posting on X, on Twitter, about 2 years ago. If you would put graphene oxide, a picture of that, a picture of a graphene oxide composition under a microscope and compare it to St. John's Hall, or some call it St. Paul's Hall, but St. John's Hall in the Vatican, where inside of the St. John's Hall, it has like an eye of a serpent, and on the pulpit where the Pope sits behind him,
big snake head.
Exactly. Compare that. So graphene oxide, MRC5 per C6, HEK 293, and also 297 are the compositions of aborted children being grounded as what we call vaccines. And these devils out of MI6, they're so bold. They don't care. They're telling you, I double dare you to say something about MRC5 per C6, HEK 293 and 297 are the compositions, the liquid compositions of dead aborted children. I got a pastor friend.
What does it do to us? What does it do to the human body?
What it does to our bodies, it really, from a spiritual paradigm, we become the host of what we call a technical side of abortion. We become the host. We, not you and I, but the body carries the composition of that child, and then the individual begins to be the personality of that child. This is called cellular memory, okay? Where the MRC5 per C6, most of these vaccines, not all, are from the composition of aborted fetuses, and it alters our DNA.
Yeah.
It alters our RNA.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Who would sit down and concoct something like this? Nothing by MI6 and British intelligence. And if you don't get the jab, then we're going to throw you in prison. We're going to take away your job. And so, no, but the American people in the world said no more. So to me, Planned Parenthood needs to be shut down. Abortion must be outlawed. And if these women out here saying, it's my body, well, your body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to God. You and I are the temple of the Holy Spirit. But getting back to your powerful question, Mom, that MRC5 per C6, HEK 293, and also HEK 297, it changes the composition of our personality. It's also in food, a part of the fast food industrial complex. There's a medical term called neuroplasticity.
Yes, absolutely.
You remember that? So it's the brain becomes the shape of what we are thinking at this moment. That's why people end up getting brain tumors, because of the toxicity of their thinking. Then you have neural parasitology, which is a medical phenomenon where the brain becomes parasitic because of vaccines, because of toxins that people are ingesting every day and don't even know it. You are dealing with one of the greatest global conspiracies in world history. These vaccines are nothing more than the DNA of what we call luciferase, which is a medical composition, luciferase. Why would the medical world call certain vaccines luciferase after Lucifer? Now, if you take the term Lucifer and write it right to left, because rabbinical language is written from right to left, you get a interesting Latin Vulgate word, refical, which means the recycling of fecal matter. That's all Lucifer is. But these vaccines, and most of your mellow yellow pops, soda pops, coffee mate creamers have MRC5. Now, to the average person, they cannot comprehend this. The level of evil in our nation and around the world must be exposed. Absolutely.
The level of evil of the owners of the world. You know, I told Jake and I told a few people way back when I was in New York and I was in a little tiny restaurant and I was sitting next to some Wall Street types. And this was before the crash of 08, when Obama came running back to give all our money away to the bankers. But it was just before that. And they were sitting there talking and, I was just an old lady sitting there, so they didn't figure I could get it or whatever, or they didn't care.
Right.
But they were talking about, pretty much betting on ways people would die.
Yes. Death
betting. And I couldn't believe it. And they were calling it put. If you do a put on your Wall Street investment, I mean, they were like double dealing on the investments, and it was going to, they were betting on how people are going to die from the treatments they owned and were selling.
Do you guys remember the NBC hit show, The Blacklist?
Yes, I love that show.
The Blacklist. And, NBC had to shut it down after 10 years because the truth was being exposed to the American public in the world. One of the episodes, I believe in season 2 or 3, on death betting, where Raymond Reddington had infiltrated a secret society of death bettors. Even the Las Vegas shooter was MI6.
Right, absolutely.
Death betting. And so what we call problem, reaction, solution, where the deep state creates a catastrophe. You guys know about that. And they know that people are going to react and they're going to demand a solution that the deep state already created before they created the crisis. That's non-problem, reaction, solution. So these death bettors, the missimulation fight MH370, interesting, 21 of the passengers were 21 Chinese nationals working for a CIA subcontracting company out of Austin, Texas, Freescale Semiconductor, which made super microchips that have the ability to control planes, cars, helicopters, Kobe Bryant, even stock markets. So all of a sudden we're told that this plane disappeared. No, it's on the island that the MI6 runs called Diego Garcia. Another topic for another day. So these individuals, these 21 Chinese nationals, were on their way to Beijing to get this information of microchipping to control stock markets. And they had a deal with Chinese intelligence, the Ministry of State Security, which is the Chinese equivalent of the American CIA, that were told the plane just disappears. Okay. Now, death bettors. So 3 weeks after the plane disappeared, Jacob Rothschild became the sole owner, of the microchip. Okay. And so it is our responsibility to protect the nation of Israel. We have to protect the nation of Israel.
Here's what I found out. Britain set up the whole Middle East. They made Saudi royals, Jordan royals. They confer royalty on their ops, right? So they can get that oil.
Yes, ma'am.
But I found out, like, the state of Israel is registered as a corporation that Britain owns.
Yes.
How do you like them apples?
Oh, Mom, that's so mind-blowing.
I mean, that's satanic shit.
Yes. The October 7th attacks and all of the, listen, the nation of Israel has the right.
The UN owns it. And that, oh my God, it means the Vatican owns it. It means all them devils. they think they won, but that's why I wanted to have you on here, because at the end, when we're done talking, and we've said all our stuff, which will be never, because we go on forever.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got to come back, and we'll do more, because it's the time that we gotta go for the head of the snake.
We have to.
We got to have it known, and I feel like if we put it out there, from our lips to God's ears, we ask God, wake everybody up, help us, help wake people up, because they have no idea. In their worst nightmare, they couldn't understand how bad it is.
It's bad. And Hamas was created by MI6 and to a certain point by Israeli Mossad. Let's create an enemy in order to justify.
Well, they were trying to, they were trying to cut off Turkey.
Yes.
And all the other things there, because they were doing the PLO. But all that shit comes from the KGB too. We didn't factor that one in yet.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought them.
All the commies, the Nazis, the terrorists on every. There's a lot of terrorists that aren't Islamic too.
Exactly.
But, there's some in Ireland. Remember all that? They're all over the place, and they move weapons. They get weapons, slaves, body parts. That's what goes down in those tunnels. It's an underground economy bigger than the one above that we pay taxes to.
Yes. Mom, you blew my mind. Yeah, go ahead.
But, so I think what happened there, because like when they just busted this USAID and all that dim blue stuff, that was all going to NGOs that were given money for pay for slay, U.S. tax money going through the UN, through UNRWA, and all those other satanic things in the UN. It's purely satanic. There's nothing about it that isn't satanic and child sacrificing. And they set up that whole place where the Gazans are. They put a big wall so they can't escape to Egypt, though most of them have Egyptian and Jordanian passports. They wouldn't let them leave. And that's why they won't give them refugee status either, because refugees are allowed to leave. So they put them in there so that I think they could do experiments on the captive population. And what other refugees live in apartment buildings? I mean, it's unheard of. But they were stealing those kids and turning them into soldiers. They were MK Ultra. That's a war crime. They made those kids into assassins, which is that MK Ultra is always about creating a divided mind that will assassinate or kill, and then forget about it. That's what they do forever on, in America too.
Manchurian
I think that was a big global satanic thing, and still is.
It is.
And, I will talk more about that later, but it's nothing like anybody thinks it is.
It's not. And
there's bad, like Israel's got some bad people in it, man.
Yeah, of course.
I call them Obama Jews. They ain't nothing but commies. They want, they don't believe in any sovereignty of any human being or any nation state whatsoever. They just want, I really think that all leftists just want kids, whether they're going to use them for, free labor. A lot of them like that. They say, oh, this is, I grew up in Salt Lake City there, and every house in our neighborhood had a Native American child in it, because they said they was adopting and I'm going to send them to school. But they did all the work in the house.
All the work in the house. Yes, ma'am.
And that's, you know what I mean? Every religion is compromised by it too.
And you hit a powerful nerve that when you said the state of Israel has a corporation they're incorporated.
And they're owned by the British Crown.
Yes. I mean, you go back to the 1917 Balfour Declaration, right? And so that's a whole different topic for another day. But I tell people, if you want to know who's on the Epstein list, Go to the Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, and the Paradise Papers.
Yes, absolutely.
Those names of the Panama Paradise and Pandora Papers, those names are connected not only to the corporation of the state of Israel out of London, but also on the Epstein list. The majority of the Jewish people are innocent. They hate the Rothschilds. They hate Zionism. They want peace. They want to live in peace.
Well, we want to live in peace in our own land.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we want. We don't want to be ruled by Islam or anybody else. We want to do our thing where our ancestors are buried. And that's all it is. I mean, we don't want to be attacked every time we turn around and blamed for everything in the world that's bad. That's just satanic crap.
And you know what? And you
who it's coming from. By a pope that sits on a throne with a snake over his head telling us what we should do. No, we ain't going to do that again.
No, we're not going through that again. You look at Saudi Arabia not wanting to help the Palestinians. They said, well, we recognize Palestine, okay? So the royal family out of Jordan, they're nothing but Arabs, Saudi plants.
Well, when the Balfour Declaration, it was the split, Jordan was the Palestinian state. It was the state of Palestine. They gave the Arabs most of the Levant, which they had set aside for Jews. They re-divided it and gave the state of Palestine to Jordan. That's why it was called Jordan Palestine. And then they got that commie, what's his face, with the he was an Egyptian royal. What's his name?
I don't know.
The one that started the whole Palestinian thing.
Arafat. Yeah, Arafat.
Egyptian royal, which means, you know, they're all related, all the royals.
All of them are related,
and it started with the commies, with the KGB, that whole Palestinian, look how oppressed we are. Us, 200 billion of us are oppressed by these 15 million old fat Jewish ladies like me. F them.
Yeah, not buying it.
You look at Saudi Arabia, there is no such term in the scriptures as the term Saudi Arabia.
No, it's made up by the British.
Yes, the British crown. MI6 created the kingdom of Saud or Saudi Arabia.
To get the oil.
Yes, that's right, to have access to Arabian oil within the Arabian Peninsula. Rockefeller's behind the MI6, the Western powers. So Saudi Arabia, matter of fact, Mohammed bin Salman is a crypto-Khazarian. What I mean by that's not an evil word. It means publicly they call themselves Muslims, but privately they are Talmudic, and so they're not true Muslims. They're not true Arabians. So
they come from Arabia and they colonized the entire Levant.
Yes.
And they kicked out so many tribes and all religions. They killed all them.
Yes.
They want to get the Druze and everybody. You know, it's only Islam. It's Islamic supremacy, imperialism. And, we're supposed to call it something else it's just all a psyop.
It's a psyop.
A lot of them, remember Ahmad, what's his name, from Iran? All of them have, I'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
But, they have, including the king of Jordan, who calls himself the Hashemite king. That comes from Hashem. I mean, they have some Jewish, they have Jewish, what do you call it? No, they are part Jewish. And that's a whole other biblical thing.
Like Mohammed bin Salman, he's got Israeli blood. The house of Saul, they're not Arabians. They're really Turkish variants. They came up out of central Turkey in 1401, and with the help of the Western powers, centuries later, took over Arabia. And let's call it the Kingdom of Saud or Saudi Arabia. And getting back to the corporation status of the state of Israel, when that was exposed, Mom, and Jake, that blew people away. And then also, the state of Israel has a PO box, according to the Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, and the Paradise Papers. The state of Israel has a PO box that's on all three of those papers out of the Cayman Islands. I mean, why? Why would the state? And this has nothing to do with the precious Jewish people. It is the Rothschild structure of Zionism. I hate Zionism. I love my Jewish brothers and sisters, but it's the political paradigm of Rothschild. And I don't know. This is
I would just say, I won't say anything against Zion because that's from God. So I'm not going to say that because he led the children of Israel to Zion. So I'm not going to go there.
Right.
But it's just another tentacle of communism.
Yes.
Really, it is.
It is. Yeah. And you mentioned the KGB. Have you guys heard of Black liberation theology? And that's another topic.
Oh, yeah, the worst. Jeremiah Wright.
Yeah, Jeremiah Wright. Yeah.
Islam, that's what they're going for.
Islam.
Agenda 30, one world religion, Islam.
Yes. The KGB created Black liberation theology. They created Latin liberation theology. It was created out of the Soviet Union. The song "We Shall Overcome," was not created by a pastor out of Philadelphia by the name of Dr. William Tinley. He was a student at Moscow University in the early 1900s. So that song "We Shall Overcome," that's a communist KGB song. But the majority of Black people, they don't understand. They don't know that. The entire civil rights era from 1955 to 1968 was inundated with communist money.
Yes,
all of it. Yeah. And through the KGB. And so, man.
And in communism and socialism, they have it in there. There is no way for the Black people to rise. It's their foundation that they always have. They always have that group of people who are purposely kept ghettoized like they used to do to the Jews in Europe, because there has to be that disaffected minority, which I say for them to fundraise on, because none of the money ever gets to those people, but it goes in the private pockets of those NGOs and those communists. That's how they get their money. And there's no way for a Black person or the Black community to rise under socialism. No way.
No way. You can't, because communism, what Barack Obama tried to do was to take out the heart of capitalism and force an artificial heart of communism to place it within the chest cavity of America, but it didn't work. We rejected it because America was not designed to be a communistic country. We were designed to be a theocratic government where Christ is in full control and not a two-party system. This is where you get the term like Pan-Africanism. Now, I keep telling Black folk, and that's another topic for another day.
Well, I think it was designed to be a place where there was freedom of religion for all minority people. But then I don't like that they made Satanism a religion, and now they teach that in the army too. So, it is a Christian democracy, but Christian democracies always included the Jewish community. They always protected the Jewish community. So I understand that. But, I also like that we would live in a country where people who don't want any religion don't have to have it forced on them by the sword or any other kind of thing. What we have freedom from and of. But then they take our strengths and make us weak because of them, like them putting Aquino, the Satanist, in the army intelligence. Bringing Satanism into everything and calling it a religion. I mean, how did that happen?
It's these glorious terms that we use today: spiritualism, nanotechnology, It's Luciferianism. That's all. It's the same demon, but under a different name. Critical race theory. That's witchcraft, because they're telling your white kids that you're guilty because of the suffering of black folk. That's crap. Critical race theory is an extension of communism and socialism and Marxism. Even the Social Security number system, we have a 9-digit Social Security number that came out of Marxism, out of the 1848 Communist Manifesto. Whereas mostly non-black people, not all, but mostly have even numbers, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Black folk, most of them, not all, have odd numbers of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. It was designed to be like that in the beginning, but it's slowly changing. And so the KGB had infiltrated what we call black churches.
Yes, absolutely.
And created the term, and I hate this term, Black liberation theology, that you are a victim and that someone owes. I hate victimology. I teach young people, listen, stop thinking that someone owes you something, okay? There's a sickness called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Where the individual, you guys know about this, they purposely make themselves sick in order to garner the status of victimhood. I thank God for your powerful show, Mom and Jake, because I'm telling you,
thank you. You
guys are changing America and changing the world. And we got to do a part 2 to this.
We will. And I want to say, as we're wrapping it up now, we're wrapping it up, Jake?
Yes.
Because he has a heart out. But I want to say, like in Judaism, when you get really deep into it, it says that Satan wants you to think of yourself as a victim.
Yes.
It comes from poor me, which is like big ego. People think when they hear big ego, they think somebody's like, oh, I'm hot. I'm the best. But big ego is to say, I'm a victim, a perpetual victim. Nothing is my fault. That's satanic.
That's satanic. No personal responsibility.
It takes away your sovereignty and your critical thinking and your soul. It eats at your soul. So you can't better yourself ever. Because you think there's no way I could better myself when I was born to be a victim.
Yes, because people look at themselves as a victim. Yes, ma'am. And in Judaism it says, when it's talking about the prayer, how you can pray with a clean heart. Yes, ma'am.
It says repentance removes the victim mentality. After your heart is clean from that, and because there's a reason people feel guilty and down and like victims, because they never repented.
Right.
They never clean. Right. So I think that's where America needs to go, hey, look in the mirror and go, what do I need to repent for seriously? Yes. And then roll it through your mind and actually remember the stuff you've done, not that was done to you, but what you did. And that's the key. I think that's the key to waking up and to taking your power back. You got to get a clean heart. And to do that, you have to recognize what you did wrong and repent to God and then change it. And don't do it again.
Yeah, because people have been conditioned to think that they are victims and that the victimizers are white or any other ethnicity. And there's a term I want us to get into next time, which has been a tool of a lie, Pan-Africanism. Pan means cornucopia, 2-horn system. The face of Baphomet, 2 horns. Yes. The term uterus, 2 fallopian tubes. And so, we're getting into it. But this is heavy. This has been probably one of the most powerful shows I've ever been a part of. Thank you.
I agree. We're going to have to watch this one at home 3 or 4 times.
You said a mouthful. You said mouthful like you always do.
Thank you,
Tell us
Mom.
again where people can see your powerful show. And thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for
too,
being
Mom.
on here.
Love
Tell
you
us
too,
again where
Mom.
we can find you.
Yeah.
Yes, they can follow the Bishop on Instagram at Bishop John Wick, at Bishop John Wick. Also on Facebook.com/Bishop L. Gaiters. TikTok at Bishop John Wick, at Bishop John Wick. Also, they can follow us, on our global website, which is as you go to google.com and just type in www.globalspiritualmovement.org, globalspiritualmovement.org. We have over 300 million online registered students through our website, student pastors from around the world in 110 countries. You can listen to us each and every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube. We have a class called the Global Masterclass, and your beautiful listeners can go to youtube.com/Act Global Spiritual Movement, youtube.com/Act Global Spiritual Movement, or they can type Global Spiritual Movement Los Angeles, where we are teaching at a dimension no one has taught before. That's every Tuesday and Friday night, 8 p.m. East Coast time, 5 p.m. here in Los Angeles.
Can you text me that info too, Larry? Do you mind?
Yes, sir. I'll definitely do that.
We'll put it up. Well,
I have one question before you wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been visited by the boule?
Yes, I have. Jake, that's wow. That's I just feel shivers. I have been visited. Have been followed, because I'm also a nationally syndicated journalist. I cover the Oscars, the Grammys, and the Super Bowls. I've been confronted by a lot of them. Yeah. And I thank God I have a security detail that protects me by the grace of God. But I've been confronted. I've got calls from people. I'm thinking, how did they get my number? And so my life is threatened because I'm willing to expose them for who and what they are. So excellent, powerful question, my brother. Yes, I've been confronted many times. And when I was in New Orleans covering the Super Bowl during Radio Row Week, I was confronted by some former NFL players.
Wow.
And who had to be escorted out of the building. So there is no fear in me. And so, my life is constantly on the line because of that. Because of this Munchausen syndrome by proxy, there are certain Black Americans, a part of the boule, that if you try to unplug them from the matrix, they will try to kill you. Yeah. Because their livelihood is built on victimhood. That's because victimhood is big business. So yes, absolutely, I've been confronted.
It's the same with the Jewish community. I have to tell you this. I'll tell you right now. Yeah. I was giving a speech about, having conversations with God, which I do, and I have my whole life, and He does answer, and I do see His answers in the world. I see Him in the world, in the creation. And I was talking about that. Well, I heard from these guys, two rabbis. This is with rabbis when I give my speech. Speech is their Jerusalem podcast thing I do on the holidays. Oh. And the guy says to me, you know what? If this was, if the Sanhedrin was still in operation, you would be sentenced to be disemboweled for the stuff you're saying, because God does not speak to humans. And he says you would be sentenced to death by disembowelment by the Sanhedrin. And I go, hey, that's great. That puts me in the company of another Jewish guy. Hey,
Mom. Oh, that is so powerful. We definitely got to get into that because
we'll get into that.
Yeah, and
we come back.
Yeah, and with your permission, Mom, and with your permission, Jake, if people want to financially bless our movement of Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group Los Angeles, they can go to paypal.me/GSRR Media Group. Again, that's paypal.me/GSRR GSRR Media Group, and we'll send that information to you as well, Jake. Absolutely.
Great. Excellent.
I love
Thank
that
you so
call
much.
yourself John Wick, because you are the assassin.
Yes, ma'am.
You are the dang assassin.
Thank you, Mom. This is my favorite show, and thank you for allowing your son to come on. Love you so much, Mom. Love you.
Thank you.
Love you, Jake.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Oh, you see.
All right, guys. That was a loaded episode right there, wasn't it? I'm going to have to unpack all that. But I'm glad we watched it. Everybody was talking about how good it was. That was a very fascinating perspective on things. So I'm glad we all got a chance to see that. It's been a long day. It's been a long night. So I think we're going to call it a night, guys. I hope you enjoyed everything. I hope you enjoyed the interview. It's up there if you haven't watched it yet. So sorry we had everything divided up today, but it's all there. We will probably be back to normal tomorrow. So another piece of puzzle. Yeah, you're right, Posty. I'm beat. I'm tired, guys. I gotta say, I'm tired. But yep. It's been real, Patriots. It's been awesome. God bless you. I will see you all tomorrow. Don't do anything I wouldn't do tonight. Thank God it's Friday, right? Much love, Patriots. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging with me. I always love hanging with you guys. I look forward to it. I will see you again tomorrow. Good night and God bless.